The Gulf of Aden was quiet, eerily quiet, when the bridge crew of the USS McFaul first noticed the anomaly. It was 3:52 a.m., pitch black, the kind of darkness that swallows the horizon. A faint blinking dot appeared on radar, followed by a second, then a third. At first, the crew thought it was debris, maybe a cluster of fishing vessels out before dawn. But the dots multiplied. 5, 9, 14, then dozens. By 4:03 a.m., the screens were filled with them. Low-profile skiffs, fast engines, moving in formation, and still no radio contact. The officer of the deck felt his stomach tighten. This wasn't normal. This wasn't local fishermen. This was a swarm. Exactly 7 minutes later, the USS McFaul, the 509-foot guided missile destroyer, was being approached by over 300 Somali pirates in more than 40 armed skiffs, moving at 35 to 40 knots, heading straight toward the ship like a pack of wolves racing toward prey. The alarms sounded. General quarters. All hands to battle stations. The destroyer snapped awake instantly. Inside the Combat Information Center, the tactical officer pulled up infrared feeds. The images were unmistakable. Men packed shoulder to shoulder on metal boats, carrying AK-47s, PCAM machine guns, RPG-7 launchers, and boxes of ammunition. Some skiffs had makeshift armor plating. A few carried ladders, grappling hooks, and fuel barrels. This wasn't a simple pirate attack. This was a maritime assault, a coordinated strike. And the McFaul was the only U.S. ship in the immediate area. Out on the deck, sailors scrambled to man the .50 cal machine guns. Two -38 Malawian Quaches, chain guns powered up with a metallic hum. The phalanx CIWS turret began rotating, scanning the sea with its radar like an awakened beast. The smell of jet fuel filled the air as the ship's MH-60 or Seahawk helicopter prepared for emergency launch. But the pirates were closing fast. The first shots came at 4:12 a.m. Tracers ripped through the darkness from the approaching skiffs. Bullets pinged off the McFaul's hull. Sparks scattered across the water. A glass window on the port side shattered, sending shards across the deck. The commanding officer shouted the order. Return fire. The U.S. Navy unleashed hell. The portside .50 calories roared first. Deep, thunderous bursts that tore through the night. Water exploded around the incoming skiffs as rounds punched into metal hulls. One skiff veered off instantly, its engine shredded. Another capsized as the gunner fell backward, his weapon launching into the sea. But the pirates didn't break. More skiffs surged forward, firing RPGs. One rocket streaked across the destroyer's superstructure and exploded against a radar panel, showering the deck with fragments. Sailors ducked. One was hit with shrapnel and dragged back by a corpsman. Another RPG slammed into the water 10 meters from the ship, erupting in a tower of white spray. Inside the CIC, the tactical officer counted the skiffs. 41, then 43. More were joining from the dark. The pirates were trying to encircle the ship from all sides. It was now 4:13 a.m. The ship was surrounded. The next 60 seconds would decide everything. On the starboard side, 3 pirate skiffs pushed dangerously close, only 150 meters away. The -38 Malawian Quaches, chain gun operators squeezed the trigger. A hail of 25mm rounds tore across the water, ripping the first boat in half. A second boat erupted in flames as its fuel tank detonated, igniting the sea around it in a rolling orange fireball. The third boat tried to pull away, but a gunner hit the engine block with a perfectly aimed burst. The skiff died instantly, drifting helplessly. Then came the loudest explosion yet. An RPG slammed into the destroyer's main deck, blowing open a railing section and sending 2 sailors airborne. One hit the deck hard. The other nearly fell overboard, but was caught by a rescue swimmer who grabbed his vest at the last moment. The pirates cheered wildly, emboldened, for more RPGs streaked toward the ship. The phalanx CIWS activated automatically. With a bone-shaking metallic scream, the 20mm Gatling gun fired 75 rounds in 1 second, shredding the incoming rocket's midair. Fireballs burst around the destroyer like miniature suns. The noise was deafening. Shell casings fell like rain across the deck. But the pirates kept coming. Dozens of them. Hundreds of them. At 4:14 a.m., the helicopter launched. The Seahawk shot upward into the darkness, circled once, and then locked onto the densest cluster of pirate boats. Its door gunner opened up with the M240 machine gun, shredding 2 skiffs and scattering the formation instantly. Tracers lit up the sea below like red-hot sparks. The pirates returned fire at the helicopter with reckless fury. Bullets tore through the air around the Seahawk. One round pierced the tail boom. Another hit the doorframe. The gunner ducked, then leaned back out, firing in controlled bursts. But the pirates weren't trying to win a gunfight. They were trying to overwhelm the destroyer. They wanted to board. And at 4:15 a.m., 7 skiffs made their final push. They powered forward full speed, carrying more than 60 pirates armed with ladders, ropes, and automatic weapons. Bullets hammered the destroyer. 2 sailors hit the deck. A third took a round to the shoulder but crawled behind a bulkhead and kept firing with one arm. The destroyer's crew braced for impact. The pirates were now only 40 meters away. The closest skiff was seconds from reaching the hull. The next 7 minutes would be pure chaos. At 4:15 and 32 seconds a.m., the first boarding attempt began. A pirate stood at the bow of his speeding skiff, rope in hand, ready to throw. But before he could launch it, a .50 cal round hit him center mass, knocking him backward into the sea. At 4:15 and 39 seconds a.m., the McFaul executed a hard turn, precisely timed. The wake surged outward, catching 3 skiffs and flipping them instantly. Pirates screamed as they were thrown into the water, weapons slipping from their hands as they disappeared beneath the waves. At 4:15 and 55 seconds a.m., the helicopter made a low sweep across the bow, firing another burst. 2 skiffs exploded. Another caught fire and spun uncontrollably before crashing into a 4th boat, sending debris everywhere. At 4:16 and 11 seconds a.m., an RPG fired from a skiff only 60 meters away. The rocket streaked toward the bridge. A deck gunner saw it and fired a single burst. The RPG detonated midair in a blinding flash, showering sparks over the ship. At 4:16 and 27 seconds a.m., the starboard -38 Malawian quatches jammed. The pirates saw their opening. 4 skiffs charged. One made it to within 25 meters. Pirates lifted ladders, screaming war cries. The ship's boatswain grabbed an M16 and fired at point-blank range while yelling for backup. 2 sailors rolled out behind a crate and added fire. The ladder fell into the water. A pirate fired back, hitting a sailor in the leg. Chaos. Pure chaos. At 4:16 and 52 seconds a.m., the -38 Malawian quatches reset. The gunner fired immediately. The lead skiff erupted into a fireball. At 4:17 and 18 seconds a.m., the helicopter radioed. More boats incoming from the north. Inside the CIC, the captain made a decision no one expected. Activate LRAD. The long-range acoustic device fired a blistering sonic blast across the water. The noise was so intense that pirates clutched their ears, fell to their knees, or jumped into the sea to escape the pain. Several skiffs slammed into each other, engines sputtering. At 4:17 and 59 seconds a.m., the McFaul delivered the decisive strike. 2 deck gunners simultaneously targeted the densest cluster of skiffs on the port side. Streams of .50 cal fire tore across the waves. 6 boats were destroyed in less than 20 seconds. Bodies hit the water. Engines exploded. The sea turned black with debris and fuel. The pirates broke. Finally, at 4:18 and 35 seconds a.m., the remaining boats made a desperate retreat. Engines roared as they turned away from the destroyer and fled into the darkness. The Seahawk chased them for 2 minutes, disabling 2 more skiffs before breaking off. By 4:20 a.m., the attack was over. Silence fell over the USS McFaul, broken only by the crackling radio reports and the groans of wounded sailors. The sea was littered with burning boats, drifting debris, and men crying for help in the dark water. The final count stunned everyone. More than 300 pirates had attempted to overwhelm a single U.S. Navy destroyer. The McFaul had survived. Barely. 7 sailors were injured. 2 critically. But every single American was alive. As dawn rose over the Gulf of Aden, the ship's deck crew looked out at the smoke drifting across the waves. The attack had lasted only a few minutes, but it felt like a lifetime. The message was clear. Pirate forces were evolving, becoming bolder, more organized, more heavily armed. But the United States Navy? Still unbeatable, because even at 4 a.m., surrounded, outnumbered, and nearly boarded, the destroyer held the line. And the final 7 minutes proved exactly why the U.S. Navy remains the most dominant force on the sea.